If you don't want to end up struggling every single morning, dreading that number on your glucose meter, then stick with me because what I'm about to share could change everything for you. I remember this moment like it was yesterday. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Mr. Robert Jenkins, a 71-year-old retired truck driver from outside Atlanta, walked into my office. He moved slow, kind of shuffling his feet because of the constant numbness in his legs, and his eyes were bloodshot from weeks of terrible sleep. He sat down heavy in the chair across from me, pulled out his glucose meter, and set it on the desk like he was surrendering a weapon. Then he looked at me and said, in this tired, gravelly voice, "Doc, every single morning I check my blood sugar, and every single morning that number's through the roof. Doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter what I cut out. I feel like the only option left is more pills." Robert's story isn't unusual. Not even close. Right now in the United States, over 37 million people are living with diabetes, and the majority of them are men over 60. Every single one of them carries the same weight on their shoulders: the fear of eating the wrong thing, the fear of losing their eyesight or their mobility, the fear of becoming a burden on their kids or grandkids. And the hardest part is that so many of them are convinced that medication is the only answer, when the truth is that the small decisions you make every single day, and especially what you decide to put on your plate, can be just as powerful, sometimes even more powerful, than any pill. That exact scenario, repeated hundreds of times in my practice, is what pushed me to share this with you today. I'm Dr. Isabella Norris, an endocrinologist and nutritionist with over 15 years of experience working out of my clinic here in Nashville, Tennessee. Over those years, I've walked alongside thousands of patients with diabetes. I've watched some of them lose their health fast because they followed the wrong advice. And I've also witnessed near miraculous recoveries in people who simply learned how to choose the right foods. And the most surprising part? Many of those improvements came from fruits and vegetables. Yes, the very same fruits that so many patients avoid because they think all fruit is pure sugar, or that eating any fruit will spike their blood sugar instantly. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are fruits that don't cause sudden glucose spikes, that actually stabilize your levels, that reduce inflammation, and even protect your heart. I want you to picture this for a second. Instead of starting your morning staring at your glucose meter with dread, you grab a piece of fresh fruit, you taste that juicy, refreshing flavor, and you know for a fact that it's working for you, not against you. Or imagine at lunch, you toss a few slices of fiber-rich fruit into your salad. The food tastes better, and you're actually preventing sugar from rushing into your bloodstream. These seem like small decisions, but repeated day after day, they can completely transform your future. I always tell my patients the same thing. Not all fruits are created equal. Some fruits really do cause a sudden glucose spike, forcing your pancreas to work overtime. But there are also fruits that nature gave us as true allies for people with diabetes. They release sugar slowly, they're packed with fiber, and they contain bioactive compounds that boost insulin sensitivity and protect your arteries. Think of it this way. Imagine glucose is water flowing into a river. If the water crashes in all at once, the river floods. That's a sudden blood sugar spike. But if there's a filter regulating the flow, the water moves through gently and the river stays calm. The right fruits are exactly that filter. I remember Mr. James Patterson, 72, who came into my office exhausted and fed up after years of depending on pills to keep his sugar down. When we made adjustments to his diet, when I taught him which fruits to include, his life changed. He started sleeping through the night again, waking up with more energy, and he stopped living with that constant fear of complications. One morning, he looked at me, eyes bright, and said, "Doc, if I'd known this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have wasted a decade on those crazy restrictive diets that didn't even work." Stories like that are exactly why I'm talking to you today about the 10 safest fruits and vegetables for diabetics. These aren't just foods that won't raise your glucose. They actively help your heart, your digestive system, and even your eyesight. These aren't theories from a textbook. These are recommendations I've personally put into practice with my patients, and the results have been so clear that they still surprise me. Now, maybe you're thinking, what are these fruits? Are they some exotic, expensive imports that are impossible to find? Let me put your mind at ease right now. Most of them are everyday foods you probably already have in your kitchen, without realizing the incredible power they hold. And I'm not just going to tell you this fruit is good for glucose. I'll explain exactly what time of day is best to eat it, what to combine it with to maximize the benefits, and the science behind how your body reacts, how insulin works, and how your arteries are protected. Let's start with number 1, pink grapefruit. A lot of my patients come in and say, "Dr. Norris, I heard grapefruit is dangerous for diabetics. Is that true?" That same doubt was raised a few years back by Mr. Walter Hayes, a 65-year-old from right here in Nashville. He'd loved grapefruit his whole life, that tangy, bittersweet flavor that's perfect with a light breakfast, but he hadn't touched one in years because someone told him it would spike his sugar. The reality is completely different. Pink grapefruit is one of the most effective allies for improving insulin sensitivity. Half a grapefruit contains roughly 10 grams of sugar, way less than a mango or a bunch of grapes. And here's the important part. It's rich in naringenin, a natural polyphenol that helps the pancreas function better and makes insulin more efficient. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry showed that people who consumed pink grapefruit regularly maintained more stable glucose levels and also managed to reduce their blood pressure. I explained all of this to Walter and gave him a simple recommendation. Have half a grapefruit at breakfast with a handful of walnuts or almonds. 1 month later, he came back grinning ear to ear. "Doc, I can't believe it. My fasting glucose dropped almost 20 points, and my digestion feels better than it has in years." Now, I do want to mention something important here. If you're on certain medications, especially statins, grapefruit can interact with them. Always check with your doctor before adding it to your routine. That's a question I get all the time, and it's a good one. Number 2, blackberries. A small cup of blackberries contains only about 7 grams of sugar, but it's loaded with anthocyanins, the pigments that give them that dark color and act as a natural brake in your intestine, slowing down glucose absorption. That means sugar from your food doesn't hit your bloodstream all at once but trickles in gradually, avoiding those dreaded glucose spikes. I remember Mr. Hector Davis, a retired high school teacher from Memphis. He told me that every afternoon he got this overwhelming craving for something sweet and ended up eating cookies or Little Debbie cakes, which left him drowsy and drained. I suggested swapping those snacks for a handful of blackberries. A month later, his testimony was convincing. "Doc, not only did I lose that after-eating crash, but I don't even crave sweets anymore. And the best part is my glucose readings don't shoot up." A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition in 2018 confirmed that men who consumed blackberries regularly for a week significantly improved their insulin sensitivity compared to those who ate other sweet snacks. The best way to enjoy them is fresh, but you can also mix them with plain Greek yogurt, toss in some chia seeds, or blend them into a cold blackberry lemonade, perfect for a hot southern summer afternoon. Number 3, strawberries. Many people believe they're too sweet for someone with diabetes, but they're actually the opposite. A small cup of strawberries has only about 7 grams of sugar, but delivers a ton of vitamin C and polyphenols, 2 substances that reduce inflammation and protect the heart. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition also showed that people who ate strawberries regularly significantly reduced their CRP levels, that's C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation linked to cardiovascular risk. And we all know a diabetic patient has a much higher risk of heart problems. Mr. Frank Morrison, a 62-year-old from Knoxville, came in one day and asked, "Doc, how can something as sweet as a strawberry possibly be good for me?" I recommended he try a cup of fresh strawberries with a few walnuts. He came back a week later, excited. "I stopped craving cake, I feel lighter, and I'm even sleeping better." Strawberries don't just stabilize glucose. They satisfy your sweet tooth, cut down cravings for desserts, and help take care of your cardiovascular system. When we look at these first 3, grapefruit, blackberries, and strawberries, we realize something powerful. Common fruits that anyone can find at their local grocery store or farmer's market can become powerful shields for the health of a person with diabetes. Now let's move on to the foods that protect your major organs, the liver, the heart, and the eyes. Number 4, artichokes. I remember Mr. Bill Stewart, 70, who spent decades driving long-haul routes out of Memphis. He came in looking worn out and told me he felt a constant heaviness in his stomach, slow digestion, and his glucose levels were all over the place. After running some tests, we discovered he had early-stage fatty liver disease, something that's unfortunately common among diabetic patients. I told him about artichokes. They contain cynarin, a substance that stimulates the liver to produce bile and helps eliminate fats, relieving the burden on that essential organ. When the liver works more efficiently, you also get better glucose stability. I recommended he add artichokes to his diet 2 or 3 times a week in a light chicken broth or steamed with a squeeze of lemon. 2 months later, he came back looking like a different man. Dr. Norris, my stomach feels so much lighter. I'm not wiped out after every meal and my sugar levels are way more even. And if you're wondering what an artichoke even looks like or how to cook one, you're not alone. A lot of folks ask me that. You can find them canned or jarred at pretty much any grocery store, and they work great tossed into salads or pasta. Number 5, broccoli. Mrs. Carmen. Well, I should say her husband actually, because in this version of the story, it's Mr. David Owens, a 63-year-old from rural Alabama. His family had a history of heart attacks, and being diabetic, he felt like the writing was on the wall. His anxiety was understandable because diabetes multiplies your risk of heart problems. I recommended broccoli. It contains sulforaphane, a compound that reduces inflammation, boosts insulin sensitivity, and protects artery walls from the damage caused by excess glucose. I suggested he eat steamed broccoli 3 times a week, prepared simply with a drizzle of olive oil and a touch of golden garlic. A few months later, David came back emotional. He said, "Doc, I never imagined something as simple as broccoli could give me this much peace of mind. I sleep better, I don't wake up with that suffocating feeling anymore, and my labs show my sugar is more stable." A study conducted in Sweden showed that broccoli extract reduced glucose by up to 10% in type 2 diabetic patients with very high levels. Number 6, carrots. Most people have heard that carrots are good for your eyes because of beta-carotene, which the body converts into vitamin A. But what many don't know is that for a diabetic, this vitamin doesn't just improve night vision, it protects the retina against the progressive damage that the disease can cause. Diabetic retinopathy is one of the most frequent and feared complications among my patients. Mr. Thomas Garcia, a 66-year-old musician from Austin, came in very worried because he noticed his vision was getting blurry, especially at night. Tests confirmed early signs of diabetic retinopathy. We couldn't reverse the damage already done, but we could slow it down. I asked him to include carrots in his daily diet, raw in salads or lightly steamed. 6 weeks later, he came back relieved. "Doc, I can read my sheet music without those thick glasses. I know not everything can be healed, but I feel like I stopped the slide." And for anyone wondering, you can absolutely juice carrots and drink them in the morning. Just be mindful of the portion, because juicing removes the fiber, which means the sugar hits your bloodstream faster. I'd recommend eating them whole when you can, and if you do juice them, add some spinach or celery to balance it out. Number 7, spinach. Few people imagine that a leafy green vegetable could be on the same list as fruits that are good for diabetics, but spinach is remarkable. It's rich in magnesium and alpha-lipoic acid, 2 compounds that play a crucial role. Magnesium improves insulin action and relaxes the nervous system. Alpha-lipoic acid protects nerves from damage caused by excess glucose. Mr. Richard Coleman, a 65-year-old from Nashville, hadn't slept well in years. He'd wake up every night around 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. I explained that rest and blood sugar control are deeply connected. When you sleep badly, insulin works worse and your body accumulates more glucose. I suggested he make a spinach and green apple smoothie in the afternoon and have a light sautéed spinach soup in the evening. 3 weeks later, he came back smiling. "Dr. Norris, I'm sleeping like I haven't slept in years. I don't wake up exhausted anymore, and the numbness in my feet has gotten better." Number 8, red bell pepper. This vegetable is loaded with vitamin C, even more than an orange, and it also contains capsaicin, a substance that boosts blood circulation. Mr. Lewis Carter, 62, a carpenter from Louisville, Kentucky, came in complaining that his hands and feet were constantly cold, especially at night. His tests showed elevated glucose and poor peripheral circulation, a common problem for people who have had diabetes a long time. I suggested something simple. Include red bell pepper in his diet 3 or 4 times a week. Roast it, saute it with garlic and olive oil, or toss it in salads. He returned a month later, surprised. Doc, I barely feel the cold in my feet anymore, and my sugar readings after meals are way more stable. Number 9. Purple cabbage. That deep violet color is a sign of anthocyanin compounds capable of putting out the fire of inflammation in the body. Mr. Fernando Mitchell, a retired 68-year-old teacher who suffered from joint pain and constant inflammation, saw his inflammatory markers drop significantly after eating purple cabbage 3 times a week in a simple salad with lemon and olive oil. 2 months later, he could move more freely, and his glucose was better controlled without increasing his medication dose. He told me with a chuckle, "Who would have thought a cheap vegetable could save me from so many nights of pain?" And finally, number 10, garlic. This humble little bulb that's a staple in every American kitchen is one of the most studied natural remedies in modern science. It contains allicin, a compound that helps reduce blood glucose, improves cholesterol levels, and regulates blood pressure. Mr. Michael Torres, 72, a farmer from the Central Valley in California, had been living with type 2 diabetes for over 15 years and also dealt with high blood pressure and high cholesterol. One day, he told me in a resigned tone, "Dr. Norris, I'm just tired of all these pills. I feel like my body can't take it anymore." I proposed something simple but consistent. Eat 1 raw garlic clove every morning. Crush it properly, let it sit for about 10 minutes to activate the allicin, then swallow it with a glass of water. He could also use fresh garlic in his soups and stews. 3 months later, his results were extraordinary. Fasting glucose dropped considerably, lipids improved, and his blood pressure was within normal range. With a quiet smile, he told me, "Doc, I think from now on my morning pill is going to be a clove of garlic." Now, I want to address something my patients ask me all the time. "Dr. Norris, can fruits and vegetables replace my medications?" My answer is always honest and clear. No. You should never stop taking medication without medical supervision. But what you can achieve is making your treatment work better, keeping your dose stable, or even seeing it decrease, and most importantly, getting back that feeling of well-being and control over your own life. True balance is in the combination of modern medicine and the wisdom of natural food. And I know some of you are thinking about cost. Not everyone can afford fresh berries year-round, and I get that. Frozen fruits and vegetables are just as nutritious as fresh ones, and they're a fraction of the price. Buy them in bulk at Costco or Walmart, keep them in your freezer, and you've got a month's worth of healthy options ready to go. There's always a way to make this work, no matter your budget. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to give these foods a chance? You can start making simple changes today. Half a grapefruit at breakfast, a handful of blackberries as a snack, some broccoli or a raw carrot at dinner when you get a sweet craving. It's not magic. It's small steps that add up, and over time they create enormous transformations. Even after 60, your body holds an incredible capacity for recovery as long as you give it the chance. If you've made it this far, I sincerely thank you for your time and your trust. I hope everything I've shared doesn't just stay as theory, but becomes action in your daily life. Try adding one of these fruits or vegetables to your plate tomorrow and watch what happens. And as always, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below telling me which of these foods you're going to try first. I rate every single message, and I'll pick the most interesting questions to answer in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to get the next one. Remember, your health is worth every minute of attention you give it. I'm Dr. Isabella Norris, and from Nashville, I'm sending you a big thank you and a whole lot of hope. Take care of your health, take care of your life, and don't forget that what you decide to put on your plate today can change your tomorrow.